podcast called Dub Jellison podcast.
First ever type 1 diabetic in UFC history.
Doing fine, Dub. Nice to be with you.
Get out!
He's like, yeah. My tunnel vision and my periphery, I'm like off field.
Hey, you know how it is, though. Hey, when your team.
I don't remember that. That's crazy.
What's up, everyone? We're back with another episode of the Dub Jellison podcast. Today, a very special guest, Mr. Akin Ayodele. Akin, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for coming on. We were just kind of talking a little bit before we hopped on here. Obviously, you were back at Purdue on campus last weekend for the Rose Bowl anniversary. So, how's that?
It was, I came up there expecting, to enjoy my time and to, see some of my former teammates and brothers and just like reunite and reconnect. And I was taken back by how much joy and how elated I was about the whole experience. I expected to have fun and to really be happy to see them, but the nostalgia in the whole experience of the weekend, because there are so many guys that I haven't seen, in 20 years. There were guys that, stayed in contact, but kept missing each other, and coming back to Purdue. But then, the atmosphere, the game, the win, the interviews, the conversations, meeting people's families and their wives and kids, and hearing about things that they've been up to and the ups and downs, and all that just fulfilled for me a special place, because to see where a lot of guys had come from, how mature they are and the successes that they're having in life, really made me happy. I was really excited to come up there to experience the weekend. So I had a great weekend.
That's super special. I always think about that one. And like when I'm gonna 10, 20 years down the road, when I have my reunions and things like that, how things will be. So that's super special.
Oh yeah, it really was.
I mean, being on campus with all the guys, does it just flood you with all the memories from playing back then? Yeah,
it really does, especially how much campus has changed. And so we can literally go back memory lane about certain parts of campus and Ross-Ade, itself, and talk about what we were doing at the time compared to what we would do now. And the whole saying, if we had back then what we have now, how much different things would be. And yes, it would be different. And you really never know if it would be different for good or for bad. So we had what we had. We utilized it. We took advantage of it. We maximized the facilities and all the resources that we had, and we were successful. But yeah, it brings back a flood of memories that are, majority of it pleasant, fun, just great memories that, stories after stories that, you can probably write a book and it'd be a bestseller if I could tell everything.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the facility. We have top-notch facilities. I'd put them up there with any other school in the country. Our football facility is absolutely insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I was fortunate that I was actually able to be on the committee that helped them create and connect with the donors, the importance of upgrading and coming into the 21st century, our facilities, our equipment, the resources that, these athletics and football could have. Myself, Drew Brees, Cliff Averill were the three only athletes that were, or modern athletes that were on that committee. So it's a privilege for me to have been asked It was an honor for me to have met the people that I got to meet and to have the conversations, for them to see the value and how that really, the aesthetics, but how that long-term value really plays into the overall arching goal of the school itself. Because since then, since that project has been completed, you're seeing several different sections of campus, buildings, parks, gymnasiums, science resources, engineering resources, creative resources, all these places that are now being poured into and are being upgraded, and how that really just serves the student body and the faculty.
Mm-hmm. It feels like there's always something going on campus. It is a little hectic when you're on campus and you're like, gee, what the heck are they doing now? I mean, it feels like literally every other week another project is popping up. But I mean, obviously our campus is stunning and amazing.
Oh yeah, you said it earlier. I would definitely put our campus with any other university, state college, private college that's out in the country. Even the SEC gets a lot of recognition, but we have a beautiful campus that really, to me, is second to none.
And I mean, kind of going back to talking with the guys and being able to get back with them. I mean, how often do you get to talk to them? Obviously not in person, but things like that. And then, I mean, how nice was it to finally be able to see them in person again?
It was, so I there's about a handful of guys that I communicate with, I stay in touch with. Every now and then I'll get a random call or text from somebody that I generally haven't spoken to in a while, and not intentional, but just, we lost contact somewhere. And so it was really, really nice to physically be in person and to meet them, and, talk to friends and brothers, especially in the climate that we're in right now with the pandemic, and, knowing how, touch and feel and physical presence has been removed. And so getting back to that in somewhat of trying to find normalcy again, it was good to be there, to see, to give them hugs, I appreciate that time. I thought the university did an amazing job in coordinating the entire weekend, and making space for us to really have that camaraderie again, and really have that bond again. At several events for the 2000 Rose Bowl class, and space for us to get together, whether it was in the stands watching the game, up in the press box or the suites, and in other locations on campus. So we are appreciative of that.
Mm-hmm. And then what was it like to receive all that love and support from, the school and the program, and especially the fans? You guys got a big pop when you guys popped up on the screen.
Yeah, it feels great. It does. We're, how old are you?
21.
21. So you was what? Actually, so this was really the 21st year of the reunion. So you were literally, when's your birthday?
January 6th.
Okay, so probably not even born, or just about to be born when that happened. So we're that far removed that a lot of the student body were not born, when we accomplished that feat. But to still see them recognizing and having that connection that far removed really says a lot about the connection of the university, the connection of the student body, the history of the program, and just how memorable, right? How memorable that season and that time was for a lot of Boilermakers. No matter where you were at in the country as an alum or a student, you remembered it and you carried it on and you passed it on to, other people and family members and to your children. So the kids now who are in the stands, who are in the student body, remember the tales of story, and then for us to show up and then the applause and the yell and the celebration was very special.
Mm-hmm. I don't think, I mean, especially just because we haven't been able to get back to the Rose Bowl and have that much success. We're always going to celebrate you guys, no matter what.
Yeah. But the goal is for one of these classes, maybe this year, if there's a good chance that it could be this year, to surpass, that season, and to win another Big Ten championship and get another Rose Bowl berth and actually win. So that would be the goal. I would love for that to happen. I look forward to that happening. But
I mean, kind of going back to just giving all that love and support from the fans and the program and everything like that, I think it really speaks to the family culture that Purdue has. I don't know if you relate to that in any way, but I just feel like Purdue's relationships and culture and fan culture are just a little different than other schools.
Yeah, I can't speak to other schools, but I can speak to Purdue and the relationships that I've been able to forge in the last 20 odd years, and just how strong that is. And even with administratively, the people that I've gotten to know over the last 10 that, I didn't know when I was playing, that still reach out, still get, from me, I still get emails, or, somehow people find my address, and send stuff to my house. Just about 2 weeks ago, I was meeting a client, and I live in South Florida now. I live in Miami, and I was meeting a client down here, and rarely, what is predominantly in this area is Florida Gators, Miami Hurricane, Florida State, Seminole, what's the other one? UCF, USF, all these Florida schools. And lo and behold, one of the partners in this firm was a Boilermaker. And in the midst of us having a business meeting, he leaves the room, or walks somewhere, comes back, and he has a train and Purdue P, and hands it to me. I'm trying to gain his account, hands it to me, and he said, "This is a gift from me to you, because I know you're a Boilermaker." So we're everywhere. And just to have that connection and that bond, even though I went to Purdue, you still not, to me, it's a big deal, but it's not a big deal. But he felt connected in that moment, in that conversation, that he gave me a gift, and so it just says how that family, that bond, that closeness, no matter where you are, in the country or in the world, that we look out for each other, we celebrate each other.
Mm-hmm. That's actually crazy.
Yeah.
I want to talk about kind of all the things that you've done since you retired, and then kind of go back to your playing days a little bit. What was the process like of choosing to retire from the league and pursuing other passions?
It wasn't, for me, it wasn't a difficult decision. Honestly, it was a matter of they didn't want to pay me my value. And I knew what my value was. I probably could have played another 2-3 years, probably 2 at least, and as a backup. And I just thought that my run was done, and it was okay to transition. It was okay to move on, and so I did it. I thought about it for, I think, a day and a half, slept on it. And the time came, the season was about to start, and talked to my agent. I just said, I'm ready to move on. One of the hardest parts of playing in the NFL is, so the average span of an NFL player is really 2.8 years. To be invested, it's 3 years and 3 games. So a majority of people who either get drafted, come in as a free agent, don't make it to that 3 years and 3 games to be fully invested. I was blessed enough to play close to a decade, right? And I did it my way. I accomplished a lot of my goals. I sacrificed a lot of my time and dedicated myself to the game. So when that time came to walk away, there was no regret. I didn't miss out on anything. I gave the game and gave my teammates and gave the organization everything. So that process went from I was okay with myself and comfortable with myself to move on, because the majority of the time, you don't have that option. Usually the door is shut before you're ready. And when that happened, I took some time, then I enrolled in grad school, went to George Washington University in DC. From there, I went to New York and did an intern for a wealth management company called Princeton Advisory. From there, some of the partners from Princeton Advisory started their own firm and asked me to be a founder, partner. And so I started a wealth management private equity company called Eagle Rock, and did that. I moved back to Texas, lived in Dallas, spent a good 5, 7, 10 days in New Jersey and elsewhere in the country with our clients, and did that for the last 6, 7 years. And this year, I recently transitioned to insurance. I work for Supposite Insurance, a world insurance company, and I focus our division here is focused on employee benefits, health benefits, 401k, voluntary, and so on. Our company is the second fastest, world insurance is the second fastest growing insurance company through acquisitions. So they're buying up a lot of mom and pop firms. Last year, this time, there were probably around 800, maybe 1,000 employees. I believe this year at the same time, they are right around 1,500, somewhere like that. So they're growing, they're growing rapidly. And I'm enjoying, one of my reasons, and just kind of give you, a background, that people that know me, I am passionate about people. I'm a servant for life. That is my leadership style. And I saw an opportunity to transition and continue to lead people in a different manner. When I was 13, I gave up a lot of, I gave up certain foods. I gave up fried food. I gave up desserts and sweets. And wellness, health and wellness is a big part of my life. Connecting with people is a big part of my life. Solving problems is a big part of my life, being a former football player and a linebacker. And this was one way that I could directly help businesses and help individuals do that. So that was part of my transition, and that's where I am right now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's amazing for you to even walk away. I mean, when you're still able to play, like you mentioned, the average span is like 2.8 years. You had the strength to walk away, and you're like, hey, I got the confidence. I'm going to go do something else. And now, I mean, what has it been like for you to get into this new lane and kind of be an entrepreneur and do all the different things that you've done and make an impact for people?
It's serving a calling. It's serving a calling. I was very fortunate, very blessed. I spent this past weekend reconnecting with my teammates, and the best compliment you can ever have is that when somebody, whether it's a random person or it's a friend, somebody you haven't talked to in 20 years, somebody you talk to every day, say, thank you. Thank you for always being you. Thank you for always having my back. Thank you for helping me grow. Thank you for being there in the best of times and the worst of times. And to me, that means everything. It means everything. My teammates, people that I have relationships with now, people that I have relationships in the NFL. One of my goals while playing in the NFL was to make the Pro Bowl. I had a couple years there where I should have made the Pro Bowl. I thought I should have made the Pro Bowl, but I didn't. But to get the nod and the pat on the back and to have teammates call you and say, you didn't make it, but I respect your game and I respect what you bring to the table. To me, that's what matters. It doesn't matter getting the accolades. It doesn't matter getting the recognition from the outside world. It mostly matters that the people that you directly impact every day, that the people that you're around recognize and notice your effort and that you're giving yourself. So it means everything. And that's what drives me. That's what drives me. Nothing else. You know, I'm a man of faith. So my faith fuels me. My faith gives me energy. My faith gives me confidence, knowing that I'm here on this earth for a reason and for a purpose. So I'm just here to execute what that is. And for people to recognize that, that's all that matters.
I mean, I wish a lot more people would kind of adopt that same mentality, because I mean, you look at society today in general, it's all, oh, I want all these flashy things and I want to blow up on Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff. They don't really put an emphasis on creating relationships and impacting lives. I mean, hopefully I keep doing this podcast for a long time, but that's what it's all about, is creating relationships and having conversations with people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, Jeb. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not, by no means am I perfect. I've had my moments, my years in discovery. I've had the Bentleys. I've had the jewelry. I've been in a nightclub. I've hung out, till wee hours of the morning. I've had the flash, and I've gone on a journey of discovery and finding out who and what I really am and who I really want to be. And in that time, though, I've realized my calling on this earth and the purpose of why I'm here. And so I'm not, and I've never really been shy or afraid to speak up for myself, to speak up for others, and to say what I do believe in, whether it's my faith or whether it's, for example, you're a Purdue guy, so I can share this story with you. So, my last year, we played in the Sun Bowl. One of Coach Tiller's rule is, if you miss a bowl practice while at the bowl game, I'm sending you home on your parents' expense on a Greyhound. I had a teammate, I'm not going to say his name, he was a senior, and for some reason, the team roomed him with a freshman. And at one of the practices, the alarm goes off, the freshman hits the alarm, turns it off, and leaves and doesn't wake up his roommate. And so the roommate misses practice, or was late to practice, or misses practice. And, Tiller's rule. I felt it was unjust. I felt that the senior, who, while he didn't get a lot of playing time, had sacrificed a lot. He was a pharmacy major. He, was at every practice. He gave you everything when he was on practice squad. Even as a senior, he was on practice squad. So he wasn't getting playing time, but I felt that he deserved that one last game to wear that uniform and to walk out with us. So, I spoke up for him, and, I was willing, and I'm not telling you a story it's not about me or to brag about big, but more so to talk about the tight, close-knit friendship and bond we had as a team back then. And even I hope that's what is being forged right now on the team. But, I went to the head coach and I said, Coach, I believe that I understand this, your rule, but in context, we shouldn't apply that rule to this situation. And we went back and forth, and he was very adamant about it. And at the time, I spoke with my teammates already, the seniors, and I asked them to have my back in this case. And probably being young and dumb and full of fire, I said, listen, if he doesn't play, I'm going to quit. I mean, I'm not going to play either. and I was serious. And being a captain, it was my last year, my last game. I was willing to do it. And Taylor looked at me. I looked at him, and then he said, "Okay, he can stay. He can stay." And we lost the game. With all that drama, we lost that game. I was defensive player or defensive line or something. I got some award for the game. But while we lost, I left there knowing that I did the right thing. We, as players, did the right thing, and forever have a relationship and a friendship with with a friend, with a teammate for life, because that's what matters, right? So yeah, that's what you live for every day. You grow up, you go through obstacles, you discover yourself, and you stand up for the right things, and and hopefully those bonds are there for life.
Mm-hmm. I mean, where did you learn this kind of servant leader mentality? I remember when I was in high school, I had a strength coach by the name of Brian Clark, and one of his main things was becoming a servant leader. And I feel like you exemplify that, greatly. Where did you kind of learn that mentality?
So I grew up very humble. Mom raising 4 kids by herself. I'm the oldest of 4. Don't know my dad, never met my dad. And I remember just wanting more from our neighborhood, wanting more from my family. And being the oldest, I just took the initiative that, things will fall on my shoulders if I didn't do something about it. And in that span, I would help my mom out around the house so that she would have one less thing to do. I got a job, I couldn't work, but I would do odd jobs in our neighborhood just to make money so that it was one less mouth to feed. And in all that, my mom had working 3 jobs, and struggling. But in all that was going on in our lives, she would find time to give back to the community. She would find time to volunteer. She would find time, to make sure that we, were with her and volunteering. And for me, I don't know any other way, because you can have so little, but give so much, and people think, oh, well, I have to give, something financial, or, I have to, give, allow people to just come into my house, and, but it's not even that. It's really about your time. It's really about your time. It's really about your patience. It's really about listening. It's really about standing up for the right things, and in moments. And when you can recognize those moments, those moments have a lasting, lifelong, effect. And yeah, I really got it from that. I got it from a very young age when, we didn't have much, and we're just paying attention and watching my mom. And it just made sense to me that was for me, and how I process things, the best way to lead. And then my faith, I would say my faith is the second. If you look at how Jesus led, it really was about servanthood. It really was about giving of yourself. It really was about, taking care of the least vulnerable, right? It really was about being patient and listening. And so that's the foundation.
And then how does that kind of, obviously you told a story about how that related to football and how you kind of led in that respect. But when you made that transition to your professional career, what all did that entail? Not even with football, just everything that you've been doing now.
Yeah. So, now especially in this industry, so I've had to morph into different parts of me and discover different parts of me professionally. I went from being a professional athlete to going and working in the financial sector and learning a whole new industry. And then even having a niche in that industry of private equity. And then going from there to now, morphing again and into the insurance industry. And then having a niche in the insurance industry in the employee benefit space. So evolving, right? And learning how to evolve and transition. But it's not that I'm starting anew. I am learning new skills and new terminologies and gaining new insight on a new industry. But the cool thing I believe about life is you're bringing everything with you also. You're bringing all the hard work, you're bringing all the knowledge base, all the wisdom, all the experience. You're bringing all that with you to serve you in this new industry. So it's scary at first that, oh, I'm starting all over and I don't know anything. But at the same time, it's comforting because I have a solid foundation of all these other experiences in playing football. Football taught me so much. From the time I started playing it in high school till, I was 33, I believe, 32, 33 when I walked away. I mean, it really forged and gave me a foundation for life and principles that I can always use. The one thing, everybody has talent in the NFL. Everybody has talent. But what sustains people and what takes them through past that 2.8 years is more than talent. It's hard work. It's discipline. It's accountability. Even those three things alone, if we just stick to those three things, you can take that to any lane, to any industry, to any corporation, to any entrepreneurship. You can take that to any relationship, and it will serve you and get you through the hard times, but also you can build and be successful there. So if you just take those three attributes, and I brought it with me to the financial sector, then I'm bringing it with me to the insurance business now in the employee benefit space. I believe I can still be successful. It's going to take me some time to learn, but I can win by, working hard, studying, coming in, putting in the time, and being accountable, right? Being accountable and showing up when I'm supposed to. And when I mess up, saying, oh, you know what, my bad, this was my fault. I can do better, and being disciplined. And if I have a certain task and I need to get done at a certain time to be able to get it done, if I need to move something at a certain spot at a certain time to get it done, and then communication is huge. Part of that is communicating, and to bring all those things with me will get me through what I don't know about the industry. So that's really what I believe in. I believe in that, and I believe in myself enough that at some point I can become an expert, because that's the goal. I want to become an expert in this lane. And at some point I can do that.
Well, first of all, much respect to you for, taking all these chances and doing all these scary things, because change is super scary. I hate change personally.
Yeah.
But like taking these chances and in all the different avenues that you've gone down, is really admirable.
So I'm speaking next month at our company's conference, and the title to my talk is called Success in Times of Change, right? And really it's just a page out of my life. But one example that I'm using in that speech is the difference between a 4-3 and a 3-4. So I've always, before playing for the Cowboys, I had always played in a 4-3. And I love the 4-3. Reasons I love the 4-3, it is simple. Every man has a gap. You just attack your gap. If the gap moves after the ball snap, you move and you penetrate. But it's gap, gap, gap football, right? And it's simple. So I can use my speed and I can use my athleticism for the better part. That's what I feel. I signed with the Dallas Cowboys after 4 years in Jacksonville. And I signed for several reasons. One is the Cowboys. I grew up in Irving, Texas. If you are a sports historian, or if you lived underneath a rock, you would still know the original Cowboys are from Irving, Texas. The original stadium is from Irving, Texas. And because of that, I said, oh, there's no brainer. I got to go home. Bill Parcells calls me. He's like, listen, I need you on this defense. And, I think you'd be a perfect fit. And I said, but it's a 3-4. He's like, oh, you'd be okay. You can play. You're smart. You're a Purdue guy. You guys are smart. So I said, okay, I'm coming. The only difference between a 4-3 and a 3-4 is one thing. One thing. I mean, you can get into the minutiae and the details and the schemes, but it's only one thing. It's taking a defensive end that is in a 3-point stance and standing him up.
Mm-hmm.
Completely changes the scheme, completely changes how an offense looks at a defense. You change that one person from a 3-point stance to him standing on 2 feet, changes it from a 4-3 to a 3-4. And now I like the 3-4. I like the 3-4, but I love the 4-3.
Mm-hmm.
The 3-4, you have to, at least in that defense, you slow play, you hit a guard, you're waltzing and you're dancing with them. These guys are almost 100 pounds bigger than me. They probably, bench and squat twice as much as me. So it's harder on my body and I can't use my speed. That's the only difference. But here's the key. The fact that there's only one thing that changes a 4-3 to a 3-4 is that one guy. It's the same thing in life, right? It's one decision, one choice, one moment, that happens to you, and that you have to make a decision whether you're going to accept that you're no longer in a 4-3 and that you're now in a 3-4, or you're going to accept that, okay, I can continue to play football and be a backup, or I'm going to go ahead and transition into the real world and go work and go figure life out. Or I want to be an entrepreneur. I've been working for somebody for all this time, and now I want to go out on my own and take a risk on a chance on me. It's one decision. It's one choice. But the part of the thing is the fact that you can do it and that you tell yourself, I accept this new challenge, and you move forward and you trust yourself that you're going to figure it out. You're going to figure it out. It's a matter of just trusting yourself that if you put in the time, if you're disciplined, if you're accountable, if you communicate, and a list of other attributes that comes with playing sports and comes with living life, all of a sudden you find yourself, oh, wow, I can do this. And I can be successful at doing this. That's it.
Damn, dude, you're going to make me want to run through a wall. I mean, that was super inspirational. I mean, that was a good idea to take it that way. I know we're getting close on time, but I just wanted to ask a couple more questions. I mean, what were some of your favorite games, whether it be from an individual or team perspective while you were at Purdue?
There's some good ones. So one of my most memorable game, first really memorable game, I played the 99 year, played UC after our first game. I had 2 sacks. And then our second game was Notre Dame. I wanted to go to Notre Dame in junior high and like my first 2-3 years in high school. And we played Notre Dame. And that game I had 2 sacks. I think I caused a fumble, and we won in Ross-Ade. So that was individual, memorable game. But some other ones, were our win against Michigan, the comeback against Michigan and Tom Brady. That was huge because that really set the course for, the October run that we had. And then the Ohio State game where Seth Morales catches that ball, and we go ahead and win that game. But I believe individual, I had an interception, 3 sacks, almost knocked myself out, one of the sacks. And as a team, collectively, we played one of the most inspiring games, that as a team could play. And then we beat IU that last game, and to see Boilermaker fans that were all over the field. And I had never seen anything like that in my entire life up to that point. And to see the roses and the celebration and how jubilant everybody was, I feel like I'm living in that moment right now, just telling that story. That was a special moment.
I mean, no doubt. I mean, excuse me. I mean, I know it's different for me and you, but like, I kind of think back to Purdue's win over Ohio State and the Tyler Trent game and all that.
Yes.
Running on the field, that was absolutely insane.
Yes, that was.
Similar.
Yeah. I think I was there for that game. Yeah. I believe I was in the suites in that game. Yeah, that was memorable.
That was the craziest game I've ever been to. No doubt.
It wasn't in that game that Rondé Moore like broke some tackles.
I mean, he did that every game, but yeah.
Yeah, but especially against Ohio State, I seem to remember that was the game he just had a crazy game.
Yeah, no doubt. I know we're kind of going over on time, so
yeah, go ahead. Ask what you have more questions?
I mean, well, just one more. I mean,
Okay.
Playing for the Cowboys, a team that you grew up rooting for, playing with guys like T.O., Romo, DeMarcus Ware, Jason Witten. Did you have a point where you thought to yourself like, wow, I'm really doing, like, I'm really playing for the Cowboys and
we had a star-studded squad. You're one, I was very fortunate to play with at least 2 Hall of Famers. Drew Brees in college, future Hall of Famer, and DeMarcus Ware, future Hall of Famer. And to be, you just know when when you see them, when you're around them. I knew from the jump those guys were both going to be Hall of Famers. And then with the T.O.s and the Romos and the Barbers and Newman and Brady James, Marcus Spears, who is on ESPN, Chris Canty, who's also on ESPN. I'm trying to think. Mark Colombo, who's a coach. I can go down a list of all the starters and even the guys that will back them up that are doing something amazing, and you knew that they were going to be stars, regardless of what team or where they were at. And for me, yes, I was in a place in time where I felt that all that hard work, all the patience, all the dedication, all the dreams. I used to write my goals down every year from the time I remember high school, like my sophomore year. I think I started doing that. And I did that even in the league, and all this list of accomplishments and dreams, and playing for the Cowboys was one of them. And allowing my family to watch me play, it all come true, and I could check them off on my list. Definitely, I felt that I knew that God was covering me, and I knew that God was blessing me, and that I was in a very unique place, in time. So. But it was a very fun time too. T.O. would charter private jets, and we would go to LA on our day off for a day, and then swing back and be back for practice. The media frenzy, and going to away games and being treated as if you were one of the Beatles. It's crazy how many Cowboy fans are out there. Away games, and we would have almost at least 1,000 at our hotel, hanging out outside the hotel, and we were good. We were a good team, but I still didn't we're just playing football. We're just playing football, and I'd never seen anything like that. So those were good times.
Most definitely. But like I said, I'm gonna let you go. We went over time a little bit.
Okay.
Thank you for coming on. It means a lot. I really appreciate you coming on here and being open and being real and sharing your experiences.
Well, thank you too. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Stay safe.
All right, buddy. Bye.